Okay, I finally got the phase converter temporarily wired up and Kimber's new motor wired up. So I'm going to show you how I'm fixing to start this phase converter here in a minute. I'm going to pull start it. You know, kind of like you pull start your gas engine, I'm going to pull start my phase converter. So basically I'm going to wrap this piece of rope around it, around the pulley. This piece of rope right here. Wrap this around the pulley and give it a yank, get the motor spinning, and then I'm going to put the power to it. Okay? So once I've got it powered up, then I'm going to test fire the 3 horsepower motor that Kimber gave me. So wish me luck. I haven't tried this thing yet. I've got the power going to the disconnect for the phase converter is plugged in on a 30 amp feed. Hopefully that'll be enough. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. All right. Here goes nothing. Really? Why did that do nothing? What is going on? Okay. I guess I'm going to have to do a little quick troubleshooting. Hang on just a minute. Okay. Turns out I had a bad fuse, so I don't have anything else on hand, so I just temporarily bypassed it. So, at any rate, let's try this one more time, shall we? All right. Here we go. Okay. Do I now have a second bad fuse? Good grief. All right, let me check the other fuse now. All right, sure enough, it did in fact blow the second fuse. Don't ask me how or why. It was a 60 amp fuse, so I've had this motor running like this before. Don't know, it wasn't pulling 60 amps, so hopefully it was just a weak fuse. So let's try this one more time here. That sounds more better. All right, let me get the ammeter on the phase converter real quick. Make sure it's not doing anything crazy. $18.23. $17.3. Okay. So, phase converter's fine. Let's see what happens with the new Bowler motor. I don't know what that stuff was, but it runs. Eleven and a half. 10.7. Eleven and a half at 10.7 is a little over current for it, but we'll let it go at that. Let's see what the manufactured leg has got. 2 amps, 2.3. So at any rate, the motor's working. I don't know if it's enough phase converter for it. 5 horsepower phase converter for a 3 horsepower motor. Don't know if that's going to be quite enough. Full load amp is supposed to be 8 or 8 point something on the 3 horse motor. So, I mean, we'll see. The current that it's pulling on the manufactured leg is really, really low, so maybe if I just get me some run capacitors for the phase converter, maybe the 3 horse will be okay on a 5 horse converter. I'm going to let it run for a little while, see if it gets warm, see if it blows the 30 amp breaker or anything like that. Actually, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't blown the 30 amp breaker. Let's see. Yeah, 28 amps. Yeah, it should ought to blow the breaker possibly. Alright, well, I'm going to call that a reasonably successful experiment. So, I guess the next thing will be to get some sort of permanent wiring to this thing, or semi-permanent wiring to this thing, and see about actually getting the 3 horsepower motor on the planer and seeing what it'll do under load. I guess that's really the only way I'm going to know for sure if I'm going to have to go down the capacitor rabbit hole or not. But otherwise, I'm also starting to contemplate rewiring the garage, since I finally got some idea the direction everything's going to go as far as what machines are going to be where. I've got another breaker panel, main lug only breaker panel with 12 spaces, as opposed to my 8 space panel. So I will swap that in, and maybe over the course of the coming months or years, start to manage this rat's nest. But first things first is the planer, and whether or not the planer can do what it needs to do with a 3 horsepower motor. or I guess I should say, if the 3 horsepower motor can do what it needs to do without having to have capacitors, run capacitors. So anyways, good experiment. Who needs fuses anyways? Fuses are for pussies, right? So, what an ordeal. Oh, and after doing some research, it's as I suspected, the wires that were coming out the back end of this thing were just for a brake. So the brake system has been removed. I don't know if the wires are connected internally on the motor or what, but not going to affect anything that I'm doing. So thanks again, Kimber. I really, really appreciate it. So anyways, I will catch you guys later.